And now we're going to start with the basics of modeling. Modeling is something you do in edit mode. Right now we are in object mode. So we select an object and then press tab on the keyboard and then the edit mode opens. You can also open edit mode at the top of the screen. And here in edit mode you have to differentiate between three different things. You can select the vertex, which are the individual points. You can select the edges, well, that speaks for itself, and we can choose the faces, which are the surfaces of the object. You can switch between these three selections by using the keys 1, 2, and 3 on your keyboard. So you can select the options like that, or you simply click on one of the symbols up there. The moment you press 1, 2, or 3, these symbols light up automatically. If we then make a selection, for example select a point, then the same commands apply as in object mode. If you can only move, you can't choose anything and you can't rotate either. Logically, because a point is just a point. A point isn't three-dimensional or two-dimensional, which means that we can select a point and then press G and then move the point anywhere to change our shape. We can also move the point on a specific axis if we want. With the same commands that we learned before, we can then select an edge, for example this one, and we can move it with G, as I said, on all three axes as well as scale and rotate it. We now have an edge made up of 2 points, so we have multiple dimensions. This means that all three transformation types are now possible. The same then also applies to the faces. If we now press 3 on our keyboard, we can select faces. I'm going to choose the top face, for example. And we can now rotate this face as well. We can move it and we can scale it. And with these three options up here between select, point selection, edge selection, and face selection, combined with the three transformation types that we already got to know in lesson 1, we can already do a lot. Our goal was to model a McDonald's cup, which means that an ice cream cup would be a little higher. So we could press GZ here. We move the top face up, so our cup will be higher and the radius at the bottom of the cup should be a bit smaller than at the top. That means that we want the bottom face to be smaller, by pressing S on the keyboard and then just making that a tiny bit smaller. Yeah, about like that, maybe a bit bigger. The difference doesn't have to be that big. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good, I would say. One thing we haven't done yet, though, is the creation of points, edges, or faces. So far, we only have the points, edges, and faces that will be created for us. If we press Shift A in the object mode and add a cylinder with the vertices set to 64, we have now work with these points. We've moved those points, and at the end of the day, scaling a face is just moving all the points in a coordinated manner. You can see that if we select a face and then go into work select mode, we can see that we've selected all the points that define the face, so to speak. That means even if I select an edge, for example this one here, and then go into the vertex select mode, it automatically selects the beginning and the end point of this edge. And the same applies to the selection of the points when I go to the text select mode. So, just so we all understand, moving and rotating and scaling faces or edges is ultimately nothing more than coordinated movement of the points that define these edges or faces. Now, we don't want to stay stuck on our points here forever, but maybe want to add a few new ones because we don't like our geometry enough. Okay, back to the McDonald's cup. First of all, let's round off the rim a bit here, you know, like a real McDonald's cup has, so that it's not so sharp. First, we erase the top face, okay? Now, of course, we could go and select all these faces separately up here, and that will take forever, and that would waste time unnecessarily. What we should do instead is select one of these tiles. Then we go to select at the top, and then we go to select loops and edge loops, and bam! Our entire top edge loop has been selected. A really cool thing that Blender can definitely do, and I've already done that quite a bit, is when you have one of those features, for example like edge loop selection, you can right click on it and add it to your quick favorites. In my case it says remove quick favorites because it's already on my list. That said, the quickest way I would do this would be to select that edge, then press Q on the keyboard to bring up the quick favorites list, and there you go. And then we select edge loops, and then we selected it. Pretty awesome.